In July of 1955, Walt Disney's magical theme park, Disneyland, opened to the public. Thought to be Walt's failure, it soon proved to be a successful form of entertainment where parents could enjoy the thrill and excitement of various rides with their children. Within Walt's Wonderland were 5 lands that guests could enjoy. Main Street, USA, a land that captures the essence of early America with themed costume cast members, relic props, and vintage modes of transportation. Adventureland, a man-made jungle where guests could travel through the thatched wilderness and witness the wild kingdom of animals in their habitat. New Orleans Square, home of 999 ghoulish ghosts within the Haunted Mansion, and swashbuckling pirates causing destruction within the Caribbean. Bear Country, now known as Critter Country, was home to the jug-whistling, toe-tapping country bears, and now the world's most silly bear, Winnie the Pooh, all residing within. Frontierland, a rusted western arid land filled with runaway mine trains, and the Mark Twain Riverboat. Fantasyland, a whimsical place where magic is the order of the day. Soar the skies with Peter Pan, or follow Alice down a rabbit hole, or hold on tight around the curves of the Matterhorn. Toontown, a land dedicated to Walt's tunes, where guests can spin round and round with Roger Rabbit, or visit everyone's favorite mouse, Mickey Mouse. Tomorrowland, a land of the future, where guests can venture onto the attractions of tomorrow. Through the years, Disneyland has grown in size, attendance, and most of all, attractions, shops, and lands that have been added, omitted, or improved. Walt once said that Disneyland would never be completed. His vision was to have Disneyland grow with the times and to always entertain. Let's take a journey through Walt Disney's magical kingdom, Disneyland, where dreams become reality and where laughter and a smile can be heard and seen all within the spectacular land known as Fantasyland. As guests enter Walt's magical theme park, across Main Street stands the gateway to Fantasyland. Attached to the gateway is Sleeping Beauty's castle. Aurora's castle stands an impressive 77 feet high, with 22-karat gold spires trimming the rooftops, and was inspired by the Neuschwanstein Castle in Germany. The castle within Disneyland is the smallest of all of Disney's theme parks. This is largely due to the fact that Walt Disney himself wanted a friendlier and more inviting castle than the old medieval times had had. For the construction of the castle, Disney builders used a unique trick called forced perspective, which is an optical illusion in which a building appears to be taller than it really is by building the first floor to size and every floor after it considerably smaller. Just beyond the gate's entrance is a bronze marker that is rumored to mark the center of Disneyland before Toontown was built. The drawbridge is operational and has only been lowered twice, once when the park opened in 1955 and again when Fantasyland had undergone a major overhaul in 1983. Through the years, the castle itself has undergone subtle changes, but one such noticeable change came in 2005 with the celebration of Disneyland's 50th anniversary. The castle was repainted with darker hues of pink and blue, and to symbolize each decade of the park's existence were 5 stylized crowns placed on the turrets. Within the walls of Aurora's beautiful castle is the Sleeping Beauty walkthrough. This walkthrough attraction originally housed 10 dioramas of the Sleeping Beauty film. It opened on April 29, 1957 and closed in October of 2001. But on November 21, 2008, the Sleeping Beauty walkthrough reopened. But time and technology has improved the story-themed hallways of the castle. It is believed that Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, the famed Brothers Grimm storytellers, told the tale of Sleeping Beauty in separate tales, but were joined together in 1697 by Charles Perrault for his published book, Tales of Mother Goose. In 1959, Walt Disney released his version of Sleeping Beauty in his animated classic film of the same title. It featured the lovely voice of Mary Costa as the voice of Princess Aurora and the evil cackling voice of Eleanor Audley as the wicked fairy Maleficent. Within the center of the castle's courtyard, a musical carousel, sharing much laughter, sits joyfully. King Arthur's Carousel. Walt Disney himself always knew that his theme park would have a carousel, a beautiful carousel. It is believed that the idea for Disneyland came about when Walt one day took his daughters on the merry-go-round at Griffith Park, and while sitting on a bench watching his girls ride the wooden horses, he wondered why there wasn't a ride that parents could enjoy with their children. The King Arthur Carousel was originally a merry-go-round that was built in 1875 and resided at the Sunnyside Amusement Park in Toronto, Canada. The original ride consisted of 3 rows of horses and animals. The animals were removed, as were the benches, though the benches were reused for seating on the Casey Jr. circus train. The refurbished carousel consisted of 4 rows of leaping horses, which were purchased from Coney Island and painted tan, black, cream, brown, and a single white mare. Because of the large request to ride on the white horse, in 1975 all the horses were painted white, and in the early 80s the carousel was moved about 20 yards north, which placed it closer to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Interesting note, of the 72 leaping horses, one of them is actually a mule, and the lead horse is named Jingles. In 2010, the outer galloping horses were lowered for an easier access, and stirrups were added. You can acquire a list of all the horses' names on the carousel within Main Street USA's City Hall. King Arthur's Carousel is thought to be taken from Disney's film The Sword and the Stone, released in 1963, but it is in fact not taken in an obvious sense. There was no carousel in the film. But in keeping with the theme of Fantasyland, Walt decided to name the carousel after King Arthur. The story of The Sword and the Stone is taken from a novel written by T.H. White, published in 1937. The story was initially a standalone story, but soon evolved into a series. Peter Pan's Flight was originally one of 3 dark rides of the park on its opening day. This particular ride is one of a kind, as the railing system is set up above, allowing guests to feel as if their galleon ship, along with Tinkerbell's pixie dust, can soar up into the sky and sail off to Neverland. This ride remained unchanged until Fantasyland received an overdue renovation in 1983. Peter Pan was originally not within the attraction, as it was believed the guests would feel like they were playing the role of Peter Pan. But the renovation added a scene near the end that had Captain Hook and Peter Pan dueling on the ship's bow. Several new audio animatronics filled the attraction as well, and brighter colors were added, making this ride one of the guests' favorites. Interesting note, the original name for this attraction was Peter Pan Flight, but the slight change to Peter Pan's Flight was made during the renovation. Keep your eyes open throughout the park as there are a lot of hidden treasures. The blocks as you enter the nursery room usually spell something. Peter Pan's first appearance originated from a section of the novel The Little White Bird in 1902 by Scottish novelist J.M. Barrie. The character soon found his way into a wider scene that would eventually have him as the hero of the book entitled The Boy Who Wouldn't Grow Up, or as Peter Pan. In 1953, Walt Disney released his version of Peter Pan, introducing us to the Darling family, the Lost Boys, and of course, to the rambunctious Tinker Bell.